Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the United Stand. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the possible double swoop, as it says in the thumbnail, for Šeško and Antony, along with discussing a load of different news for Ronaldo as well. No De Jong news or no De Jong topic being discussed. I had to get his name in there, though, because we can't go a show without talking or at least mentioning his name, at least. But as I said, a lot of news around Antony, Šeško, and Ronaldo. So we'll come and smash into it. Pretty much, obviously, allegedly, I will say this: allegedly, um, Sesko's representatives were kind of having, let's say, pre talks with United. There's a big allegedly. It's very early on, and yeah, I guess a lot of people will be happy with that. I watched the couple of shows yesterday and saw a lot of people hyped over this possible signing, let's say. And I'd like to say that I would be as well. Again, there's not much to go off. There was obviously the tweet as well from Salzburg's Twitter, which was quite funny. I actually really rate it. The fact that they're kind of, they're bantering pretty much. I think it was 200 million and Bruno, that they'll take, and I really like that that they've included that. And yeah, I think on a serious note, Šeško, and I'd love to obviously hear your guys' comments on this as well. I think there's loads of avenues and ways that you can kind of look at this. And I think he would be brought in at this current moment in time, in my opinion, with Ronaldo staying, or if he is staying, I should say, then he's obviously going to be brought in. What you've got to say as a third option, right? And whether he's okay with that, I don't know. You've obviously got Ronaldo missing the whole tour so far, not being included in anything. Obviously, he's been, I guess, doing bits and bobs by himself, keeping that fitness top notch. But in terms of Martial's obviously having a good preseason so far, and in my opinion, deserves to obviously start that first game against Brighton. I'm not sure what you guys think, but yeah, I think that Martial deserves that start. He's been having a good season, preseason, along with Sancho, Rashford. But again, and we do need to reiterate that it is only pre-season, right? Like, although we've played against Liverpool and beat them 4-0, again, it is only pre-season, and it's the same thing when you draw 2-2 with Aston Villa, right? You can't, you got to take the rough with the smooth. At the end of the day, it's getting the minutes in the legs, it's getting Ten Hag's tactics into their brains and everything like that. So I think yeah, it's something that's very, very interesting, and we'll carry on in a minute. But we've got a super chat. Would you take Ramsey on a free? No, in all honesty, I wouldn't. I think we've got enough deadwood in the midfield as it is. I'm not saying Ramsey's deadwood, but I think obviously he was on ridiculous wages at Juventus. And personally, in my opinion, I don't think Man United should be kind of going anywhere near it. He's obviously going towards the tail end of his career also. So I don't think that's something that we should kind of be exploring. But back to Šeško, yeah, I think Martial obviously having a decent preseason. He should be starting, and I'm interested to see what your guys' thoughts are on the Ronaldo situation, and obviously how Ten Hag is actually going to kind of address this situation in regards to when that first game of the season comes around. If Ronaldo is available to be picked, or I don't know, maybe he isn't going to be available because he just doesn't want to be here, and he's going to express that even more. I think, as I say, Martial has earned the right to start that first game, and with Ronaldo not being around, he and it's a shame to say, right? You're going to leave Ronaldo on the bench, or possibly not even included. I think that's what obviously you guys would have seen on Twitter and everything. The talks and that were going to be about today. There was blooming everyone at Carrington. It seemed everyone was pulled out of the woodwork, and obviously it wasn't one big coincidence. It couldn't be. But yeah, to kind of, as I say, the alleged talks were going on with Šeško's representatives, and I think it's possibly a good early sign. And I think definitely if Ronaldo was to leave, he'd obviously be brought in and given a lot more game time, I guess, if he was to leave. So, in my opinion, either way, I think it's definitely someone, or we should be looking at signing a striker regardless of whether Ronaldo leaves. We were told at the start of the window that a striker was going to be part of the plans. Then we were told it wasn't. So I guess it's all still up in the air. What was that? I just saw our reports. Excuse me. Our reports that Salzburg want 300 million plus Bruno for Šeško. This is a joke, right? Yeah. I mean, of course, that, as I said, I addressed it just now. I think obviously it's just a bit of Twitter banter, which you see a lot of football teams kind of going and addressing nowadays, is bantering different clubs and doing things like that in order to gain traction and get good reactions on tweets and stuff. And I'm sure their tweet banged, so I rate it. Man United should probably do it more often and banter other clubs. Do you think Garner is ready, or any other new youth talent? Garner says he does not want just cup matches, and personally, I actually don't disagree with him. Whether he's ready or not, like, we haven't seen him in a Premier League side, right? He's off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you how many games he's actually played for Manchester United. Obviously, he was part of that promotion winning side in Forest, so I think Ten Hag's obviously going to be taking a close look at not only him but all the other youngsters. And he did take a bit of a knock, an injury in preseason as well. So I'm guessing he wouldn't have had the chance to take as good of a look at him as he might have wanted to. But I'm sure over the sessions that he's been able to watch that he's seen plenty of plenty of what he can do. So I think in all honesty, if he isn't going to get given that kind of fair game time, then you know, we've got to look at kind of flogging him. If I'm honest, like, he probably doesn't want to go out on loan again. If he does, would Forest take him back on? You'd obviously want him, if we're going to go let him go on loan. We're going to want him back to be part of the squad. You don't. I'd like to say you don't just loan someone for them just to get rid of them for a year. But yeah, I think in all honesty, with him not wanting to just play cup matches, if he doesn't want to do that, which is completely fair enough. I think he's probably reached a point where he thinks he does deserve that next step at United. And in my personal opinion, if he isn't going to get it, then we need to cash in on him. Hi Charlie, just want to say I appreciate the work you and all the team do. Love watching you every day. Thank you. Member for 11 months, Chris Bell. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it very, very much. But yeah, that's all. As I said, to wrap up the Šeško deal, I think that is kind of what we can kind of say. And with regards to the Antony stuff, I think again, we've discussed Antony a handful of times on this channel and over a fair few weeks now. And in my opinion, Antony would be a great signing. As I said, a different option, that left-footed winger that can cut in and shoot, cross, whatever he wants to do. Ten Hag wants him, which again, I've said so many times around so many players. If Ten Hag wants him, then we need to express that we want to go out and get him, right? I think when a manager wants this type of player, again, you can see on screen here with Ajax seemingly refusing to rule out Antony leaving. How confident are you on Manchester United signing him? Personally, I'm not confident, I will say, but get your comments in. I'd like to see how confident you guys are. Personally, I mean, I just don't. I just hold very little faith from what Manchester United are doing within the transfer market. Right, we've gone out, we've signed Malacia, Martinez, and Ericsson. Ericsson on a free, which took way too long to get done, and we don't have to pay anyone for that. Martinez, obviously, I'm going to say something a little bit bold here. In my opinion, I actually think we've probably overpaid for him. But again, it's hindsight. He could come in and obviously hit the ground running and be incredible. And then you look at it and it's a complete bargain. But off face value, in my opinion, I think we have overpaid for him a little bit. But that is going to be just down to the nature of Ajax not wanting to sell the remainder of what they've got left. They've sold a handful of players already, and they want to get the best value out of their squad. And obviously, yeah, Malacia on what was it, 12 million or something. Looking at it, none of us were expecting a left back to come in, especially as a first signing. We were obviously always expecting, if it was going to be a full back, it was going to be on the right hand side, a right back for a Wan-Bissaka replacement. So again, if you really kind of think about it, in my opinion, Manchester United have still got, a lot of work to do. We've signed 3 players, but I think for what I'm looking at it on face value, we've probably signed one that we needed, and that being that central defensive position. Obviously, Ericsson coming in is a very similar type of player to Bruno, plays in a similar position. We've got Van der Beek coming back. There's other players like Hannibal coming through, and obviously Zidane Iqbal and Charlie Savage, who have kind of shined in pre-season and showed that they're in pre-season, these types of games, they're more than capable of holding their own. So again, there's lots of different options. So I think we definitely need to start looking at these players that Ten Hag wants. Like I know. Sorry to bring up De Jong again, but this is beyond a joke. And Antony as well. And I understand. I kind of look at it from both sides of the story, or both sides of the coin. Ajax have sold, 4, 5, 6 different players for however much money, and they do it kind of near enough every year, every 2 years. They buy a player for cheap, or they come through the ranks and they sell them for a big profit, and I rate it. It's incredible. So I think ultimately they've done it enough where they don't really need to do it. And Anthony is one of them ones where they probably think, if we do keep him for this another year, he's expressed he wants to go to United. So if he plays it well again this year, scoring goals, assists, etc., then we could probably get even more money next year, which I don't disagree with. And at the end of the day, they what do they want? They're holding out for something like 65, 70 mil, and if he has a good season again this coming season, then they could probably get 10, 20 more, or ask for it, not necessarily get it. But yeah, in my opinion, the talks of when that video was leaked with Murta, I think of talking to the fans and saying that the money's there, and it's just kind of a matter of going out and getting these players. Obviously, that kind of should have never come out, and these things probably would have come out anyway. But yeah, it's obviously not a good look when we're after all these players and we're not getting the ones that we want, really, is it? I know this has been asked a million times, but would you walk away from the De Jong deal? It seems too far gone for the club to back away now, and that is ultimately it. That is ultimately it, Stephen. I think Manchester United are at the point now where they're ultimately trying to keep face. They've got to the point where, what is it, 10, 12 weeks in or something we are of the deal, and I think, or the I don't even know what to call it, negotiations deal or something. We've got to the point where we've agreed the fee with Barcelona. It is obviously just now. I guess Frankie de Jong is in a very, very sticky situation, in the fact that he's owed a ridiculous amount of money from Barcelona. He's again saying he doesn't want to leave, and for whatever reason, in my opinion, I understand he doesn't want to leave for the fact he thinks he might not get paid that money. Completely understand that, but in the same breath, if my work owed me that amount of money, as soon as I got that money, I'd be gone. I wouldn't want to get myself into that situation again, and especially with what's going on at Barcelona. I honestly don't understand how they're managing to sign all these players. I really can't wrap my head around it. But yeah, I think to kind of wrap it up, I think we're kind of too far gone to walk away. But and if we were going to walk away, we probably should have walked a fair few weeks ago, in my opinion. To have a decent enough window, we need to sign 3 or 4 more players, and we need to move 8 players, them being Bailly, Jones, Twanzebe, Williams, Chong, Palistri, Wan-Bissaka, Ahmad. That's a lot of work to do for our board, near impossible. Yeah, that is pretty much impossible. Look, I have no doubt that, and again, I wouldn't be kind of worried, when that you will see movement from our side in terms of loans and selling these type of players out, the likes of by Jones and Williams and stuff. I'm almost certain that these clubs that don't want to kind of spend their money too early, or they kind of wait till they're 2 or 3 games in and they go, oh, I could go and get by for 10 million, 15 million, like a Fulham or a Norwich or something like that. a team, championship, high championship, low Premier League, they can go and get these players at a cheaper rate. And realistically, Man United need to sell these players. I don't agree with selling Ahmad and Pellistri. I think I'd probably keep those and possibly do loan deals for them. But yeah, I agree with Bailly, Jones, Twanzebe, Williams, Chong, and Wan-Bissaka. Look, again, there was obviously talks the other day of Wan-Bissaka being moved on. I think we were waiting for offers on him, but yeah, no, I agree with you. I think yeah, we need to fix up, look sharp, big time. But we'll move on to. There's lots to talk about Ronaldo, right? Obviously, we know there was talks being held today, and obviously I'm sure you guys would have all seen on Twitter all the pictures of Sir Alex Ferguson driving in. It was, and I saw it was actually like loads of people saying Avengers Assemble type deal, and it's not a coincidence that all these, or I imagine it's not a coincidence that all these kind of legends and people were there to convince Ronaldo to stay. It's not, oh, conveniently there's another meeting on the same day that Ronaldo returns to have conversations with Ten Hag, etc. So yeah, and again, there's certain things that have come out, and we'll put them up on the screen. So um, yeah, they're basically Man United are citing confidently, would not comment on the nature of the talks, but after the first day of negotiations, Man United have confined that their position is unaltered and Ronaldo is not for sale. Look, again, I think Man United are in that position now where they obviously don't want to sell Ronaldo. He's a huge asset financially in terms of shirt sales, revenue, all that good stuff, right? He is a commercial unicorn in the sense of he will earn you a shitload of money, and kind of, you can plaster him everywhere, and he'll obviously, your club will reap the rewards for that. And obviously I think that Man United don't want to lose that, which again is fair enough. But at the end of the day, this is a 37-year-old, arguably greatest of all time striker player. I don't want to get into that. That's a whole different debate. But yeah, he's obviously incredible. And in my opinion, I think if the player wants to go, as much as me personally, I'd love him to stay. I think he'd be incredible next season. And yeah, he'd score however many goals, 20 plus goals again. He scored however many last season in a rubbish Man United team. With reinforcements, he could add another 5, 10. But if he really doesn't want to be here, he's aging. He needs to go, right? Like we've got to let him go. We've got to step aside. I think again, but has it gone past that point of we're trying to, we've said we don't want to let him go. Should we have just kind of not come out and said anything and been like, we're not commenting on this? Ten Hag's obviously come out and said he's part of his plans, he's part of his project. From the first conversations that he had with him when he came in, was kind of brought in as the manager. Should we have just kind of said, no comment, and then had the conversations behind closed doors? I'm not too sure, but in my opinion, I think we should let him go and take kind of, whatever it is. It's 500,000 a week wages. We could probably get, I'm not sure, 15, 20 million for him or something. Obviously, the hard thing is, a lot of teams don't want to take him on because of the nature that, not only the money that they're obviously going to spend on him in terms of wages and agent fees and all that, but it's a very different transfer to be making, in the sense of, you're not bringing in like a young up and coming talent who's scoring 30 goals a season, but is still very up and coming, right? You're signing Cristiano Ronaldo. You're signing someone who's going to come in that dressing room, and people are going to be, he's going to disrupt the dressing room regardless of, and not, and disrupting the dressing room does, I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way either. Like it can be a good thing, but I just mean disrupt it in the sense of, people are going to be in awe of this guy. Like, you can tell there's players in Manchester United, Bruno, Dallo, Fred, these type of guys who will love to play with him, because these are the type of the players that they would have grown up watching, and grown up playing with, and love playing with him and have the utmost respect for him. There's obviously a handful of players that don't enjoy playing with him and don't enjoy having him around. And yeah, ultimately, I think at the end of the day, he's he's got, in my opinion, we've got to let him go. He's not got to go. That sounds like we're trying to force him out. I think we've just got to let him go. Personally, I find it a little distasteful. The club have dragged Sir Alex Ferguson out to clean up messes they create. Let the legend enjoy his retirement. Again, Stephen, man, you he obviously was a big part of the reason why he joined or rejoined Manchester United. You kind of pull on the heartstrings type vibe, right? He's come back in, or been kind of, this is what I'd love to be, a fly on the wall in that type of situation. Like, do you reckon Sir Alex Ferguson has kind of took it upon himself, or had a discussion with someone and gone, when's Ronaldo going to be back? I want to be there to have this conversation. Or do you reckon the higher ups have gone, we need to get Sir Alex Ferguson in to have this type of discussion with him. We need to pull on his heartstrings to get him to try and stay. And I'd love to hear you guys' comments on that, and I'll read them out. But I think, yeah. Again, as I say, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that situation. The conversations being had must be like almost mind blowing, in the sense of, I'd just love to hear both points of view, and both, how they conversate these types of things. Charlie, who would you have replaced Ronaldo, and would Griezmann's swap be good? In my opinion, Darren, Griezmann, again, it's a type of player. He's aging, obviously, been incredible, on a ridiculous amount of money again. But personally, if you were to replace a Ronaldo type player, obviously you can't replace. This is gonna sound silly, but you can't replace Ronaldo with Ronaldo, right? There's not another Ronaldo out there. If you're gonna replace Ronaldo, I think personally you've got to go out there and you've got to buy someone young, ambitious, like a Šeško, right? Like, if you're gonna go out there, and again, this is a big if, because this is if Martial is gonna stay. Because, if because I've seen links, Juventus want, if they can't get Morata done, Juventus are looking at going after Martial. If Martial wants to stay, then kind of perfect. You can let Ronaldo go wherever he wants, and you can bring in this young, ambitious guy who he can share that kind of game time with Martial. Martial can play off either side of the wing as well. We've seen him play off the left. I'm not sure if he's played off the right, but I'm sure he can as well. So bringing in another striker, does that does that mean that on some occasions Martial would be kind of pushed out onto that wide attacking role? Does it open up the possibility of a new formation? I'm not sure, but yeah, to answer your question, I wouldn't replace him with Griezmann. I don't think that's a good idea. He's obviously getting on a lot of wages, and I don't think it's a very rebuild signing, in my opinion. Uh, Oscar Norbeck, welcome to the members club, my friend. But yeah, Jordan, we have Martial. He's really good under Ten Hag. Again, man, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. We've seen the team, not only him, but the team in a handful of games. Not even, I can count them on my hand. And yes, he has scored goals. Yes, not only him, but there's a handful of players who have played incredibly well. But ultimately, we can go up against Brighton on the opening day of the season, and we could get turned over 4-0 again. That is, in my opinion, that could quite easily happen. And in my opinion, that wouldn't be for kind of any fault of Ten Hag. That wouldn't be, any fault of anyone but the team. Again, like, I think that the team is, or could struggle, if they go into this new season. Hopefully, these games are obviously, kind of revitalized everyone, and have picked themselves back up again, and obviously got that kind of spirit and everything again. But I think, yeah, we won't kind of know what kind of Martial is going to turn up until we play Brighton, and the subsequent other fixtures later on in the season. Because yeah, and again, obviously at the minute it's looking like he's staying, and you know what, I actually rate Ten Hag for this. It looks like he's got Martial back, happy with some coaching and conversation, and because I'm sure that Martial, maybe not himself, but Martial's agent would be quite verbal in the fact of saying, he's unhappy. He doesn't want to be at the club anymore. And if you asked me that 4 weeks ago, I would have said that he was, excuse me, I would have said that he was a goner, 100%. Pretty much, I would have said that I wouldn't have been happy to sell him, depending on kind of what the fee was going to be. But yeah, I wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have disagreed with a lot of people if they thought that we were going to sell him, because yeah, I thought we were going to as well, and obviously we still can. There's still quite a long time left in the window, but yeah, ultimately there's a lot of variables in this situation of kind of the striker bit. Yadra, if we need a CDM, an inverted right winger, I think in the I'm not obviously sure how many shows you watch, my friend, but we've covered a lot of this, and obviously the way that the way that Ten Hag plays isn't with a CDM, and I think a lot of Man United fans, not even Man United fans, just fans, are obviously in that. It's got it stuck in their head that Man United have obviously played over the last kind of, even, well, Mourinho, Oli, all that. We've played with that holding midfielder, right? We've played with that Matic type player who always drops in between the centre backs. Will cover. Say Maguire goes on a little run, will always come in and cover. That we're not playing with that type of CDM anymore. There isn't that CDM, and I agree with you. Last year we needed a CDM because that was the way that we were playing football. But this season, we're not looking like we're going to play with a CDM, or the type of CDM that is going to drop in between the centre backs and outright defend. Right. That's why there's a lot of a lot of not speculation. That's the wrong word. A lot of disagreement around De Jong. People saying he's not a CDM. We shouldn't go for him, and the position that he would play, etc. And yeah, we wouldn't be going for a CDM. So I think inverted right winger. I understand what you're saying. That's kind of the Antony thing of cutting in on your left, and that would obviously be a great option. Outside of Antony, I'm not quite sure who the other guys would be that we possibly look at bringing in. Again, I'm not sure, but yeah, in my opinion, CDM we don't need one, because we're just not going to be playing that type of football that suits a CDM. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Charlie Bridge, who starts at centre back for you? As of right now, my friend, I'm going to go with Varane if he's fit, and Martinez. That would be who starts. I was watching a lot of videos today on kind of what opposition fans were thinking of Maguire, and it's some, I can't remember who it was, but someone was saying that if you watch a lot of other teams in the Premier League, and a lot of other centre backs are a lot better than him, and considering the fee that we paid for him was obviously astronomical, and again, it's all hindsight, right? Like, he could have had an incredible few seasons after we signed him, and we'd be looking at that fee like it was a bargain, just like Van Dijk, right? But yeah, he's been pretty crap. So yeah, I know Ten Hag's come out and said that he's. I'm not sure if it's like a club captain type vibe that he's kind of letting off, because I do remember when Jurgen Klopp came in, and I think it was Jordan Henderson who was captain, or is captain. I can't even remember who's captain for Liverpool now, but. And so I think a journalist asked, why have you named him captain? And Jurgen Klopp was like, well, he was captain when I got here. So I'm not sure if it's that kind of vibe where Ten Hag's come in and doesn't want to disrupt everything too much. But ultimately, I wouldn't have put him as captain. Me personally, I probably would have gone with De Gea or Ronaldo. But yeah, again, I think it's each their own. Maguire is a joke in football world, not just in England. Yeah, it's not ideal. Unpopular opinion, Sir Alex could be supporting Ronaldo's case, as he has a close connection with the player, and he probably understands why he wants to leave. I have a strong feeling that's the case. That's an interesting point of view, actually, but I don't I don't know. I don't think that he would. I don't see why he'd. I mean, maybe he would internally. I mean, he would obviously never kind of come out and say that. But yeah, I think, look, as I say, we'll go back to it. Cristiano Ronaldo is unbelievable. And I have no doubt that if he was to stay next season, this coming season, I keep saying next season, but this coming season, he would be a huge part of our Premier League squad, Europa League squad, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, all that. he would be incredible. And yeah, he'd score a handful of goals, more than a handful, two handfuls, three handfuls of goals. Be incredible. But if he really doesn't want to be here, then again, I think we've just got to basically let him go. I don't see. I understand everyone's point of view when they want to, they want to keep him and stuff. But ultimately, I think we've got to let him go. Not he's got to go. Hi Charlie, who's your choice for our panic deadline day signing? Saying it like it's definitely going to happen. And to be fair, we could actually just smash out a couple deadline day signings, or like we might just do like the penultimate deadline day signing and then the deadline day signing. But I mean, screw it. I reckon we just sign Marouane Fellaini again. I think ultimately we just go back to that Route 1 football and just hoof it up to him and let him score in the 95th minute. Martial don't have anywhere to go. His wages are too high and he didn't set the world alive on loan. No one would take him unless he takes a wage cut. Again, I agree, but that could possibly work in our favour, to the sense that I think Martial on his day can obviously be unplayable. I think he can hold the ball and link the ball up very well. I think we've seen that in pre-season so far. So hopefully Ten Hag, again, with good coaching, you got to remember that these players haven't had proper coaching in a while. I imagine since Mourinho, right? And Mourinho's coaching when he was at United was obviously very park the bus, let's say. So yeah, obviously no one's going to want to really take him on with the wages he's on, and they're obviously going to have to pay a fee of what 30 plus million. So yeah, ultimately that could obviously work in our favour, because we can hopefully, or Ten Hag can hopefully get that old Anthony Martial back, where he absolutely smashes it. Him and Rashford have that 20 plus goals a season, 30 plus goals a season. Who knows? Sky's the limit. Ultimately, I just want a striker who's going to score goals, who's going to not only score goals, but you know, and again, this is kind of what I've been saying to all my friends, right? And I'm not sure what you guys think in terms of where you think we're going to finish in the league. Cups and that are irrelevant, but I think ultimately Man United, in my opinion, will do very well to finish in the top four with how the other teams are doing in the market and signing players, etc. You likes of obviously Arsenal strengthening, Tottenham strengthening, Chelsea obviously is going to probably spend even more money than they have, and you've already West Ham are out signing. We only finished what 1 or 2 points above them, and you've obviously got Newcastle probably going to spend a lot more money. They'll be looking to obviously fly up the table, but I think, in my opinion, ultimately, if the aim is obviously to finish top four. If we don't finish in top four, I will still be very, very positive if we see an improvement in terms of the football. And that probably has to come within, like, before January. We have to see that improvement of football. We need to see that style of play. We need to see the press, the work rate, the energy, the desire. We need to see all these different things. And I think hopefully what we've seen in pre-season can just be that little taste of what's to come, right? I think ultimately we could, and again, this is a big if, and I think we still need, as I say, 3-4 signings. We could be a very good side. Ten Hag could make us a very good side, I should say, with the right coaching, with the right players being brought in. And I think top four is obviously the aim. Well, Mark, as Jong as Jong as it takes. I like it. GG menu. Yeah, I mean ultimately De Jong in my opinion is not happening. But we'll go back to some Ronaldo news. So Jorge Mendes has been offering Ronaldo to various clubs, but there were no takers until Atletico Madrid swayed a bit. They would consider it only if he takes a pay cut and for no fee. See, this is what I mean, right? Like he wants to leave. He wants to leave, but he's caught between a rock and a hard place, right? Like he doesn't want to he he wants to leave. No one wants to take him. So at what point does someone give in? At what point do Man United give in? Does he give in? Does Ten Hag give in? Ultimately, it will get to that point. I mean, we start the Premier League season in what, a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. And I'm not sure what's going to happen, whether he's going to be available. We've got a preseason friendly allegedly behind closed doors on tomorrow, is it? I think against Wrexham. Whether he's going to be available for that or not, I do not know. But I think, yeah, there's look, you can put it this way: there's no chance that we are letting Ronaldo go on a free. Absolutely no chance. Even if it was like, flipping 5 million we get for him, we'd want some fee. And yeah, a lot of clubs will be looking at him wanting to take a pay cut. He's on 500,000 a week or something for us. So ultimately, I think, yeah, he will be needing to take a pay cut wherever he goes. Apart from, obviously, he got offered that Saudi club and obviously turned that down. And yeah, I think ultimately it would tarnish his reputation if he was to go there. It is unlikely Cristiano Ronaldo would be available for Man United's game against Brighton. It will be doubtful if he even makes the friendly against Wrexham on Wednesday. There you go. As I said, doubtful whether that's because he doesn't think he's fit enough, whether it's because he wants to have these conversations with the board, with the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson and Ten Hag. I'm unsure. I think ultimately we as a collective of Manchester United need to sort this situation out sooner rather than later. And as I said, I'd love to be a fly on the wall. So Man United insist publicly that Ronaldo is not for sale and have dismissed the notion of extending his contract, then sending him on loan as nonsense. And I saw this actually come out the other day about the possibility of sending him on loan for this season, but only if he promises to activate the extension clause for the extra year. That, like, is that not like really stupid? Well, I'm not quite sure why. What? So we'll let him go for this year, and then maybe just when we're a little bit better, we'll take him. But I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, I figure out how to get my head around that. I don't understand why we'd send him out on loan and then bring him back. Obviously, if he wants to get out that much, why would he want to come back? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Ronaldo joined his teammates as well as new signings Eriksen and Lisandro Martinez for over an hour as the manager and his staff debriefed what had gone on Man United's tour of Thailand and Australia. And I think that's quite important. I think it's very important for if Ronaldo is going to stay, that he has, he's got a lot of catching up to do, right? Not only on the style of play and everything he's kind of missed out on in terms of, you know, fitness training and literally pre-season. You think if I was to go to a team and miss out on kind of 2 or 3 weeks of pre-season, which is the most kind of vital time, you're just constantly playing catch up. And don't get me wrong, he's obviously going to be incredibly fit and incredibly, he could go and play in tomorrow's game against Wrexham, right? I've no doubt about that. He could probably start against Brighton, but it's ultimately the system and everything like that. He'd probably feel and look out of place in the sense of not knowing the triggers to press and things like that. So he's got a lot of catching up to do with conversations like that. A lot of these leaks that we saw coming out weeks ago, a lot of things have probably got to be addressed within the changing room. That type of stuff that Ten Hag will obviously probably want to be a part of, and explore kind of what's going on in that sense. If there was a big rift in the changing room last season, regardless of who it was between Maguire, Ronaldo, whether it was, I don't know, whoever, Rashford, Ronaldo, these things have got to be sorted in order to be to move on and be in a better place, right? So I think ultimately, well, definitely if he stays, there's a lot of things to iron out, right? So I think at the end of the day, to kind of round off this whole Ronaldo situation, I think, in my opinion, and get your guys' comments in, I'll read a few out in a minute. Do you keep Ronaldo? If ultimately we know Manchester United stance, we know that they're not going to sell him, or really don't want to sell him. Not going to sell him. I know a lot can change, but yeah, we know that they don't want to sell him, and pretty much if we're not going to sell him, we're obviously not going to be buying another forward, right? So I think at the end of the day, again, I'm repeating myself, but in my opinion, I think we need to just let him go, but we need to handle it in the right way and with the right, you know, attitude, and let him go with our heads held high, right? There's no I'm not sure quite what the word is, but there's no kind of bad blood there needs to be, right? A lot of you guys saying no, yes, definitely keep, no, signing him was a mistake in the first place. I don't agree with that, but um yeah, I think a lot of people are saying it's very divided actually. No, yes, yes, no. I mean, ultimately, yeah, I've expressed my opinion, but yeah, I think, to be honest, the fact that even when a club does want him, they obviously are only wanting to take him on under certain circumstances, like the fact of lowering his wages and no fee and stuff, obviously plays into our hands. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think personally he will stay, just on the fact that there's nowhere else for him to go. But at what point does it become too much? Like, will he just, you don't want him to get to the point where, and I don't know if he'd do this, but he wouldn't play, like, kind of do one of them ones, refuse to play or fake injuries, or be that type of player. But at the end of the day, yeah, let's see what you guys think. He ruined the flow of the team by joining. However, he's still the GOAT of the game. Austin, that's actually really interesting. I went and watched Manchester United play last season against Atalanta in the Champions League, and I can't lie. Obviously, I was so excited to obviously see Ronaldo play in person, right? Along with my team. I can't lie. In the first half, like, Ronaldo was really bad. Like, we were losing, he was playing crap, and I was hating my life. Yeah, it was awful. But then I remember there was one thing. I think it was like De Gea caught the ball, and Ronaldo was just like so far offside. And I think De Gea was like shouting at people and stuff, and everyone just started booing Ronaldo like big time. And I was like, oh shit, like this is bad. And then that second half came, and obviously he scores the winner, and oh my god, like, the place erupted. It was incredible. And there is no one else in that team that clutches up in moments like that. And there obviously was moments last year that I don't think like disrupting the flow and stuff is the right term. But I think, we, with a player like Ronaldo, you have to compensate. And I think we did that when we had him the first time round under Sir Alex Ferguson. We moved Tevez and Rooney around. They were the guys who were playing out of position, running, doing, Ronaldo's tracking back. Ronaldo was that guy who scored goals, won us trophies, and was ultimately part of the reason that we obviously were very, very successful back then. And I think ultimately now I don't see why we couldn't do the same, in the sense of, you don't necessarily build the team around him, but you sacrifice almost that Ronaldo position. You give it to him for however long, whether he's going to play one game a week, one game every other week, every 2 weeks, and you let him, not necessarily give him free reign, but you say kind of, you can kind of do whatever, in a sense. I just said don't give him free reign, but basically that. And then you work kind of around it, because he will get you 20 to 25 goals a season. And yeah, I mean, ultimately a lot of players won't want to work with that. You're looking at maybe Sancho, Rashford, these type of guys won't want to kind of be that, not necessarily second best, but do Ronaldo's work for him, right? So yeah, I think ultimately it's a very, very tough decision. But again, to almost compare it to De Jong, a situation that needs to be resolved very, very quickly. It's been going on for kind of too long, and needs to be sorted out ASAP, in my opinion. Let's see what you guys think. Um, We sacrifice a high line because of Maguire, and that. But do we sacrifice? Oh, this is the thing, right? Because we have been playing a high line, or from what I've saw, we have played a high line, and against I can't remember what the Australian side was who we played. That's really bad actually, but yeah, obviously they got in behind straight away, didn't they? And that's through playing a high line, and I think Ten Hag's obviously going to be thinking that we're we're gonna be a bit short, and that's obviously Martinez is brought in. He's that quicker, known as the butcher, so he's gonna floor some people hopefully. Having a fluid front three, serving one ex superstar, and yeah, I mean that's a very good point there. I think fluidity within a team is obviously second to none, but we're not, just you take Ronaldo out of that team just because we've seen Sancho, Rashford, and Martial fluid over the past 3 games or whatever it is, doesn't mean that come the first game of the season we're not gonna look fluid and be, the link up play is gonna be rubbish, and that, ultimately there's hindsight is a beautiful thing. We can come the first game of the season, we could get battered 4-0, or not even get battered, but just lose, and Ronaldo not be in the side at all, and one half of the fan base will go, if we had Ronaldo in that team, we would have won. We could go first game of the season, batter Brighton, beat them, and you've got another half of the fan base going, we don't need Ronaldo. Look what, look at our front three. We're so fluid. So I mean, at the end of the day, I value everyone's opinion. Everyone's opinion is different, but I think personally we need to let him go. But I think we will keep him because of the fact that there's not